What's up everyone? In this video, I want to give you guys an overview of 4 different Union bindings, and each one has different tech and components to give it strengths and weaknesses depending on the style of riding you're looking to do. So I'll go over each one, give you guys my thoughts, and just give you a good overview of the binding itself. So starting with this binding right here, we got the Union Ultra binding. This one is definitely the most freestyle oriented binding. If you want a binding that you can take into the park for doing jumps and rails, or if you want a binding that's great for butters and doing side hits outside the park, this is the one that you want to look at. To start with my initial impression of the binding, it's super light, so that's something you want to look for with a freestyle binding. It's also just got a very simple, stylish, and minimal design. It has a fairly soft flex, so I would say that the flex is kind of medium. So that is what you want for freestyle riding. You want that medium flex so that your binding actually will adapt to the trick that you're going for. It also has a mini disc at the bottom, so your board is going to be able to flex more naturally and not have the size of the disc affect the way that your board flexes. The base of the binding is also pretty soft and has got some really good cushion to it. So if you're riding and you have any vibration, or if you're landing on a big jump, then the base of the binding is going to help to absorb some of that impact and just make the ride feel overall a lot more comfortable. On top of that, the straps of the Ultras are pretty comfortable as well. You got some soft cushion going on in here, and they have that shape that's going to be able to really 3D mold to your boot, so giving you that secure feeling, but also with some comfort as well. The toe strap is pretty simple with some more rigid material on the outside, but then this soft webbing to kind of hold your boot and your toe in place. The binding is going to be really easy to adjust with these toolless adjustment points if you want to adjust the size of the straps. And one unique thing about this binding is that there's no high back adjustment. So this is really going for the full freestyle element of not having the high back adjustment. So you're just going to be riding basically, it doesn't look like zero, but with not much forward lean, which is definitely a characteristic of park riding, is you don't need a ton of forward lean. The Union Ultra, just a very clean, minimal, stylish binding that's going to be great for freestyle. For the next binding, we'll go to the complete opposite style of riding, and this is the Union Atlas for all mountain free ride snowboarding. So if you're looking for a binding that is aggressive, that's going to help you land a cliff drop, or if you just want to haul through powder as fast as you can, then the Union Atlas is the one that you want to check out. My first impression is that it's much sturdier and a little bit heavier. Basically, with a more solid and firmer, stiffer binding, any movements that you put into it are going to be transferred into your snowboard that much quicker and with that much more precision. For those big mountain lines, this is exactly what you want to check out. It's got the full size disc to connect to your board, so giving you that more stronger hold to your snowboard. The base is definitely harder too, so it's going to be a little bit more of a rigid ride, so you're not going to get that really cushy ride like you will with the freestyle binding, but hopefully if you're riding through a lot of powder, that's not going to matter a whole lot. The straps on the Atlas, you're not going to get a ton of cushion, but you're still going to get the 3D molded shape that's going to snugly pull your boot into your binding. On the toe strap, you're going to get that webbing as well to hold the toe of your boot in place. And on the back of this binding, on the high back, you're going to find a dial to adjust your high back forward lean. This is a pretty cool feature because if you're up on the mountain and you feel like you're not getting that aggressive forward lean that you want, you can just quickly start to scroll this dial to increase your forward lean. So overall, the Union Atlas is going to give you that aggressive connection to your board that you need for free riding. The next binding is one that I've been riding for the last year now for park and powder, and it's the Union Strata. The Strata is definitely, I think, a bit more tailored for park riding. It still has that softer flex, a little bit stiffer than medium. You still can definitely take it around the entire mountain. but I still think it's mainly focused towards a park and freestyle. It does have a very soft footbed, so all those vibrations coming up through your board are going to get absorbed. It also has the mini disc, so for flexing your snowboard, it's going to allow your board to flex a bit more naturally because of the mini disc. The high back does have an adjustment, so even though this is a more freestyle oriented binding, you can still adjust the high back. You just need a tool to do it, so one extra step. And then the strap on the Stratas is going to give you a little bit of extra cushion, but nothing too fancy or crazy, and still with that 3D molded shape to secure you to the binding. So for me, the Stratas have been great for everything, park, powder, but really I think the strength is in the terrain park. The final binding of the 4 is the Union Force, and this has kind of been Union's flagship binding, and this year the Force has a complete redesign. And my first impression of the Forces is that it looks like a really great kind of all mountain do everything binding. It definitely has a little bit more weight to it, kind of like the Atlases, so some stiffer, harder materials. So if you're a rider that wants to ride the entire mountain, take this into trees, into powder, but also wants to be able to ride the park with a bit of a stiffer ride, then I think the Forces is the way to go. With the Forces, you're gonna get the full-size disc. The base of the Forces is definitely a little bit stiffer, but it's also got some good cushioning to it as well. So I think you're gonna get that precision and quick energy transfer through the base, but you're also gonna get a damper, a bit more comfortable ride too because of this softer base. So that is one thing that stands out compared to the old Forces. The ankle strap is a bit more like the Atlases where it doesn't have all the cushion to it, but you're still gonna get that 3D shape to mold to your boot. And it does look like it has some nice grip as well to hold you in place. The high back has, I think, a pretty cool shape as well with some honeycomb pattern in the middle. And on the inside, you do get a little bit of cushioning on the inside as well, so adding to that comfort. And then at the back, you have the high back adjustment as well. So, and this one is a different high back adjustment too, a pretty traditional one where it just pops open. You can give it a few turns and then adjust your high back pretty quickly on the fly. So I like that feature a lot. The high back on the Forces is definitely like a stiffer flex to it, but nothing too crazy. So it's not like ultra stiff, but not too soft either. So I think if you're putting some pressure on this, going for a hard heel carve, it's definitely going to respond and really help you get onto that heel carve aggressively. So overall, with the Forces, I think this is a good do everything kind of binding, especially if you want to spend more time carving and taking it free riding, then this is the one for you. So that's my overview of these 4 different Union bindings. If you have any questions, or if you've ridden one of these bindings and have some feedback, it'd be great to hear from you down in the comments. I'll also put links to all these bindings in the description if you want to check them out. Thank you guys for watching. Have fun with your snowboarding, and I'll see you in the next video.